Hello, hello, sweet honeybees, and welcome to the Electric Honey Pot, where energy is the nectar of life. My name is Autumn, and this is a project about the human experience. The good, the bad, the ugly, and all of the magic that happens in between. Today, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Chris here. Him and his wife were kind enough to host me for a night while I am out in North Carolina, and we have been having some really interesting conversations, lots of synchronicities with the bees, so I definitely wanted to record some of the stories that he has to tell.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh man. So last night he was telling me this story about a mushroom experience that he had that I found absolutely fascinating. Why don't we just start there?
Okay. So, when I was a lot younger, I took a trip up to Asheville with my wife, and it was a kind of two-part experience. The first day, we decided that we were going to go hiking. We had just adopted our second dog, Shorzy, who is a pit hound mix, and got dealt a bad deck of cards. He's the run of the litter, very anxious, got like doggy IBS, doggy anxiety. It was his first long car trip with us, and he was chatting the whole time, very vocal about how unhappy he was to be in the car with us and that we were leaving home. And so on the way up there, I was pretty frustrated. I knew that when we went hiking, my intention was to take for me, a pretty high dose of mushrooms. It's something that I had been doing to help regulate my nervous system. I got diagnosed with anxiety when I was in my junior year of college. Formally diagnosed anyway. I'd had it for a long time. I got stuck on Adderall when I was 10 years old, when I got my first C in math. And don't really know if that had anything to do with it, but if I had to guess, that's probably something that, if it was not the direct cause, was definitely a contributing factor. And
There was a lot of pressure at home too to succeed, and
yeah.
Yeah.
I always had really good grades. I read a lot. That really helped. It's something I could thank my grandparents for. I grew up very, very privileged. Shout out to my mom and dad for giving me a lot of that privilege. They worked really hard to do so, and I'm always going to be grateful for that. But at this point in my life, I was reconnecting with my faith. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. There was a lot of disconnect between what I was hearing coming from the pulpit and in Bible study, and then what I was experiencing, not just at home, but at school, in church, in the wider community, in the town that I grew up in. And so that really led to kind of disillusionment between me and my faith and what I was kind of doing at the time. So when I was looking to reconnect, was doing kind of my own Bible study and a lot of self-prayer and reflection. The intent of that trip was to see if I could take it a couple levels deeper and get those kind of aha insights that usually only occur with years of intensive therapy or like a really strong meditative practice. I think that's one of the great benefits of psychedelic experiences and kind of tools that we have at our disposal, is that if we're properly prepared and trained and have some experience, we can work a little bit smarter and not quite as hard, right?
yeah.
So was on this trip, knew what I was getting into, and my anxiety was kind of through the roof just from the dog, doing doggy stuff, being super chatty. I think he pooped a couple of times in the car.
Oh my.
Yeah. So really frustrated. Was not helping my nerves out at all. And for this particular experience, I didn't want to rely on my anxiety medication. I wanted to come to it fresh and raw and, experience it to the fullest. And I think I ended up taking a little bit less than an eighth, somewhere around 3.2 or 3.3 of a really strong penis envy variant, albino penis envies. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
The ones that I got off this guy were just insane. I don't know, like even if you put them in through like a gas spectrometer, like what it would be per weight, but all I remember is that whatever this dude was getting was, they were almost like cotton ball, like fluffy in the middle. And
Okay.
initially I was kind of worried that they weren't dried out all the way because,
Right.
when they're not dried out, because they are a fungus, they're easily susceptible to mold. And, you're already probably going to be working with an upset stomach and all this other stuff. So you don't want to add, a bad mushroom to the mix. So it got awful strong. I was scared to eat a whole eighth, and I was like, oh, we'll knock it down a couple points and, we'll see what happens. So we picked a trail off the internet outside Asheville in Pisgah National Forest. Had a lot of really good reviews online. It seems really accessible, easily doable with two people. We loaded up our backpacks with, some dog food, some water, and some cider that I think is from one of the local breweries. Do you know anything about the Asheville?
There are so many breweries in Asheville.
Yeah.
Like the one time
This
I
one's
have
specifically cider though. It's like, I don't know, but anywho, it's one of the local ones and they've got some really good stuff. If I remember, I'll shout them out, but yeah, so started hiking. I'd read a couple of my favorite passages in the Bible. Ecclesiastes comes to mind, as well as, some of the Proverbs and some different things.
Could you give us an idea of what those scriptures contain?
Yeah, so the way that
That is so funny because while I was at Steele's house, my dog started drinking out of my water cup, and now their brand new little foster puppy is drinking out of his water cup. These dogs think they're people.
I know it.
That's funny.
So yeah, Ecclesiastes is normally I think attributed to Solomon, who was this allegedly really wise king in Israel. If you guys are kind of familiar, he's the one who these two ladies were fighting over an infant or a newborn. Both of them were claiming the baby was theirs, and he said, oh, well, we'll cut the baby in half. You'll each get a piece of the baby. And one of the ladies was like, yeah, let's do it. And the other one was like, no. And obviously that was the one who got the baby. And I think the other one was thrown in jail. So super smart guy. Anywho, the whole passage, the way that I understand it, is just kind of a reflection on a society, the values that most societies hold and human behavior and the way that we all act. I would highly encourage you guys to read it, check it out. It's interesting, at least for me. But something that I've always struggled with as far as faith is concerned is like the actual like crux of faith, right?
Yeah.
Why did in the Bible all these guys in the Old Testament receive these kind of direct manifestations of the Godhead, or biblical messengers or
Right.
angels or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's just radio silence, right, for a couple thousand years. And you'll hear people tell stories about receiving messages from angels or different things, but at the end of the day, it's what kind of tangible evidence are you working with? As somebody who really enjoys science and who reads a lot of scientific articles and every day, and like I'm really into quantum physics. I can't pretend to understand a lot of it. Most of it goes over my head, but I do enjoy reading it, right?
Right.
So we're hiking on this trail. The mushrooms are starting to kick in. I'm starting to freak out. I'm notoriously a baby about that sort of thing. It always feels like I'm at the beginning of a roller coaster and I'm just going up, 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 waiting for the drop.
It's kind of that fear of the unknown. You know, with psychedelics, you kind of have to surrender to what's about to happen.
Right. So the surrender process is always kind of hard for me, even with kind of an extensive background and working with these tools to help manage my anxiety and my mental health. So that I don't have to rely on things like alprazolam daily, which over the long term is just really bad for your brain and can lead to things like dementia and some other stuff like that. So I'm going through it. I'm praying. I've picked up like a big stick to use as like a walking staff, and it felt very kind of apt and appropriate for the moment. And not really saying a whole lot. My poor wife is just enjoying the day, but wanting to talk, and I can't really communicate very effectively because I'm just through the moon. So we're hiking, we're having a great time with the dog, and I don't ever really get auditory hallucinations. That's just not something that ever happens for me, even at higher doses. Even when I've smoked DMT in college, like I never had anything auditory. There was some kind of message or communication. It's more of kind of a mental, cerebral one that kind of gets imparted. But this particular experience, as I was praying, I was like, I really just would appreciate a sign. Like, I've been trying all these years to do the right thing, be the right person that I think that you want me to be. And it's hard and it's a struggle to make that sort of commitment with no return.
Right.
On your investment or your energy or whatever you want to call it. So right around, I want to say like the 90-minute mark where I'm just like fully in it and starting to get acclimated, I hear a voice. And if you guys have ever heard Travis Fimmel's voice, he's the guy who plays Ragnar off of Vikings. Don't know why that was the voice that I heard, but that was the voice that I heard. Probably just because I was watching the TV show at the time, but who knows? There might be some deeper psychological meaning there. And if you guys think of it, let me know. But and I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but the message that was kind of imparted to me was a bit of a chastisement in having the audacity to pray and request for a direct manifestation of the Godhead. And that voice just basically told me, like, you're not special. There's billions of people on the planet. Like, it's not how dare you, but also, kind of how dare you have the audacity to request something like this. And so that was very kind of humbling. And at the same time, that voice told me to pay a little bit more attention to the simple things around me, the interactions that we have as people, the relationship that I have with my wife and my dogs, everybody that I come into contact to every day, nature specifically, and that I would be shown, sorry, I don't know why I'm tearing up, that I would be shown glimpses, little pieces of the pattern that would feed me and sustain me throughout my life and my faith. And I could take those as kind of a direct manifestation if I wanted. If I was paying attention and if I was coming correct, then I would never really be lacking. And that kind of set the tone for the next I want to say 13 hours. It was a really long trip. That normally 6-8 on the outside. But like I said, these things were god awful strong. And, we were going up the front half of the mountain, and we got past the point where we were supposed to turn. And we just kept going until it was very clear that we were not on the trail anymore. And at that point, we kind of freaked out a little bit. Sarah was worried that we weren't going to be able to find the trail again. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. We just turn around, backtrack.
Right.
Everything's going to be okay. And so that was the sunny side of the mountain. After we backtracked, we start going down the back half of the mountain, and there's no more sun. And I've still got my walking staff. Things are a little darker thematically. And it's very like, ye though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death kind of type vibes, where the bird song is not as light and Disney fairy tales. It's trending more towards Grimm's.
Yeah.
Grimm's fairy tales, which is always an interesting experience. And then at one point, I'm just thinking about, how to be a better person and to do better things and what I'm going to try and hopefully take away from all this. And I start to see these vines that are turning into snakes. And it's not a couple of them. They're on every single tree that we're passing. And, at first I just kind of shrugged it off. But the more I ignored it, the more they started to kind of activate.
Right.
And draw my attention towards them. And eventually I just had to stop. And I asked Sarah, my wife, if she could see vines on the trees, because I knew she wasn't going to see the snakes.
Yeah.
And she said no. And I went, that's so interesting, because they're everywhere and they're really starting to get to me. And I'm not sure what's going on or why you can't see them. And she's like, well, maybe you could point some out to me. My wife is a saint. She's very patient. I'll tell you a story another time about where we were at the beach where I saw a halo manifest behind her head.
Oh,
and
I love that. I would love to hear that story.
Well, that one's not as interesting. Honestly, that's really the only thing.
Right.
I spent most of the day looking at the waves and praying, but anytime I looked at Sarah, she had a halo manifested in like little light glyphs.
Luminous light body.
Yeah. So anyways, Sarah's a saint. We love her to death. Very patient. I don't deserve to have her in my life, at all. Anywho, so she asked me to point them out, and I walk off trail, which just going a couple feet was just what I want to say, world altering, but
right.
It's, the vibes shift immediately, just because you're going off your path. And I walk up to the trees, and I'm like, there's one right here, there's one right here, and the trees next to them. And I was pointing at the roots, and I was like, this is where they're going up around the trunks. And finally she sees it. And I think one of the cool things about psilocybin is what it does for pattern recognition in your brain.
Absolutely.
If you guys are familiar with the stoned ape theory, Terence McKenna, that kind of stuff, when we were all hominids coming out of Africa, dude thought that they were helping us, stand upright so we could see above the grass, avoid predators, start to do all these little nifty things that we weren't currently doing at that point in our evolution. But an interesting side note, I actually used to eat low-grade doses of mushrooms in college to get better at beer pong.
I love that.
Yeah. I was really good. You guys?
I mean, it helps rebuild neural pathways. And I've got a lot of body pain personally. And anytime I use mushrooms or LSD, all of that just kind of goes away, and I'm much more flexible and can flow better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, they make your peripheral vision better.
Yeah.
So I never really had to reach for a ball that was pinging off the side of a cup. I could just snatch my hand out and just toss it right back and make it. But anywho, sorry for the digression. my ADD kicking in. Yeah, no, so showing Sarah all these little vines, and I'm telling her, like, they're snakes, and I think that I'm kind of being shown this for a reason. We have all these healthy trees, or at least they look healthy, they're huge, they've got tons of leaves, but there's a snake wrapped around every single one of these things, like trying to choke it. And you can take that for the really obvious metaphor, or metaphors. There's probably a couple of different ways that you could slice that, but also very like humbling, and definitely made me think about all the little kind of traps that we can get sucked into for whether it's our behavior, our mindset. There's another great line in the Bible somewhere about the devil's always out there, roaming the waste like a lion, looking for people to snatch up. And I definitely feel like that's a thing, whether you believe in like an archetypical devil or not. There's always a set of circumstances that are looking to get you.
Right. In some like shamanic cultures that follow like the medicine wheel, the serpent can represent like the southern section of the medicine wheel. It represents the underworld. So it does have like this darker energy to it, but it can also represent like shedding what no longer serves you. Because, the light is born from the darkness. We wouldn't notice the light if we didn't have the dark. It's all about balance in the universe, Right. So you're having this transformational experience where you're thinking about how can I be a better person? What can I do to make the world better? Because you're perceiving these snakes with a darker energy. Like it's the darker energy is still serving its purpose to help make your light shine even brighter.
Yeah, I often wonder if we'd had more time, or if I'd been by myself, if I had been able to sit there and just take like an hour to kind of sit and be with that snake vision. What would have happened if I'd, maybe we could start naming them, and they would have turned into like my different vices, or something like that, or just kind of a more general societal malaise, right? Who knows? Had a very patient wife that was looking to get back after after our little side detour. So we make our way out of this kind of snake level side of the mountain, and I eventually start to hear music, and music has always been a higher power thing for me, and I love music. It's definitely informed a lot of my good and not so good life choices, like music festivals. Live music is awesome, and I think very healing and transformative, whether it's being played by instruments or if you've got a very talented audio engineer behind the decks, whatever it is. So I think at that point, my little JBL speaker had died, or my earphones, or whatever I was listening to, earphones. Yeah, I think Sarah had asked me to take them out because she kept trying to talk to me, and I was like lost in the sauce, praying and doing whatever.
World.
She was her spectacular patience was starting to wear thin, and I don't blame her because I'm difficult to be around sometimes, especially when I'm like that and I'm kind of locked in.
I think we all are at some point,
Fucking goobs. But so I was trying to figure out where the music was coming from, and I was like, did my phone turn on in my pocket? There's other people on the trail, obviously, maybe that's somebody else's speaker, and they've got it up. But it was this hauntingly beautiful, ethereal music, and almost forming like a message, but not quite. So it wasn't that actual auditory message that I'd received earlier. It was still auditory, but there were no direct words.
Kind of telepathic. It's just like a knowing, the feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot more of an emotional transmission than anything, and it was very redemptive is the best quality that I can describe it. Kind of a like, everything's gonna be okay. you're loved, type vibes. If I had to associate it with a style of music at this point, it would be kind of like a crossover between like deep melodic house and like melodic dubstep. Some of like, I don't know if you know, like Seven Lions
Yeah.
or like maybe like Nora and Pure or somewhere, I don't know, some kind of crossover. So it keeps getting louder. I'm going nuts trying to figure out where it's coming from and what's happening and why it's happening, and is this all in my head or is it from somebody else? Because if it's somebody else, I want that music like immediately. I need it in my phone, I need it in my life. I'm gonna listen to it on the car ride back.
Right.
Like it's gonna be on repeat for a long time. It's that good. And eventually realize it's not somebody else on the trailhead, it's a waterfall. And the music coming off this thing is heavenly, is really the only word
Yeah.
that kind of fits it. And so at this point, I've kind of got my bearings. We're at like hour 5 or something like that. And I'm just starting to like get a hold of myself and, you know, the kind of vibe that the experience is giving me. And yeah, we were able to sit there for, I don't know, probably like 15, 20 minutes. Sarah was kind enough to give me the time to kind of explore. I kept looking because I'm stubborn and hadn't taken that earlier message all the way to heart. I'm looking for like an actual avatar of,
Right.
of the waterfall and seeing if I can find one to come out and, you know, either greet or say hey to or
Right.
whatever. I think this was around the time that I had a fire pit in my backyard, but there was a crepe myrtle tree that had branches growing over it. And one night when I went back there to have a bonfire and pray, a dryad is the only way that I can describe her, came out of the tree and, again, not with actual words, more of a feeling, just kind of emoted that I was hurting her branches and, you know, could I please move the fire pit next time, which I did, like the next day. Never got a thank you, but that's okay. We love that the message was given anyway,
Right.
and I know that the tree appreciated it. So looking for an avatar at the waterfall. Nothing manifested, that's cool too. But yeah, started to make our way back to the car with the dog, who was also starting to get a little tuckered out and probably needed some air conditioning and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's the main portion of that. The rest was a very intense, but also boring by comparison. You know, 7 hours or whatever it was. I was up till I think like 2 or 3 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
trying to shake it off
Right.
and process. But yeah, that's my hiking story.
I love that. Absolutely beautiful. There's so much symbolism there. And then your message about looking at like the simple things. The miracle was the waterfall.
Yeah.
The music coming off of it. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing with me.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I knew I had to talk to you like the moment I got here and saw that you had the bees and you used to be a beekeeper.
Yeah.
It's just been a reoccurring synchronicity, and there's been some synchronicities happen since I've been here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like your story is an important story to tell people. I'm hoping to open more minds because I truly believe that psychedelic medicine could help a lot of people and help us heal the world on a grander scale, you know?
Yeah. I do think it's important at the same time to kind of respect the medicine. That's something
100%.
that
It's powerful.
I was doing when I was a lot younger, for not just the prayer and stuff, also to, you know, go out and enjoy music and,
Yeah.
you know, have different experiences with it. But I do think if people are going to do this sort of thing, they need to do their research. I I've seen way too many people who have just kind of launched themselves into this with no prep,
Yeah.
whether it's reading up on whatever they're doing, making sure that their mental health is good.
Set and setting
Yeah,
is really
set and
important.
setting. You know, having a plan for, you know, if stuff goes south, you know, do you need a trip sitter? Dosing is also, you know, a huge thing.
Safe sources.
Safe sources, test your stuff, and just being as mature and responsible as you can about it. But it is my firm belief that cerebral, I can never say that word, cerebral liberty and bodily autonomy are your God-given right. And you are in charge of that, you deserve that. But it is a responsibility to yourself and to the community to conduct yourself in a way that's not gonna harm the community or everyone else. You know, obviously nobody can be 100% safe and stuff all the time. There have been times where I've missed the mark, and that's on me. And I thankfully have always had a good support system. But yeah.
I also, as you were telling your story, I was making the connection. You know, last night we came across on Mid-Journey that angel. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the angel of prayer and music.
Yeah.
And your story involves
saved
prayer
it.
and
Hold up.
music.
Let's see if I got it.
That nice little synchronicity.
Where did that go?
Let's look up this archangel real fast. I had never heard of this one before, and he had told me this story about his powerful experience with prayer and this ethereal music. And then we happened to get on Mid-Journey, and we come across an image of an archangel that is the angel of prayer and music, and apparently the twin brother of Metatron, potentially Elijah becoming an angel.
Oh no, my internet's out. Oh wait, hold on. Come back on. All the trees back here make it, for whatever reason, my silly little computer. It's hard, and I end up having to use this wireless router, but it never is on when I need it, and then I have to like reset it.
Maybe the trees just want you to detach more.
Probably.
You know?
Yeah. Oh shit, check that out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we're gonna like
Nice
that.
little leopard.
Uh-huh. Oh my gosh. Imagine.
And then you are definitely fulfilling your goals of being a better person and helping the community
trying,
and the
man.
world. No, you and your wife both are fantastic people. I just randomly
Thank you.
posted to the Charlotte EDM group looking for someone to host me for the night because I had gone through 6 states in 48 hours. And he was just like, message me, let's talk. And I ended up right where I was supposed to be. Nice, comfortable bed. They fed me. They've taken care of me. They're fostering this adorable little puppy. Told me stories of helping other people. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you.
I'm very grateful to have met you.
Yeah,
I love you
right back at
both,
you.
and I'm
Love
grateful
you.
that you're both in this world.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sharing.
you're welcome.
Would you like to plug any, I know you said you don't have Instagram, but any social media handles or anything like that? Want to give a shout out to doing yoga in general?
I definitely want to give a shout out. So yoga is something that I fell in love with. It started off as just kind of a fitness modality. I played a sport every season when I was younger, and definitely drank way too much in college. And a couple of years after that, and had gained a bunch of weight and was looking for something to do as far as exercise that I hadn't done before that I would enjoy. And I actually went to, my first class was like a 60-minute hot power yoga class, and I could barely hold it down, dog. I was super embarrassed about how bad I was performing in class, and just kind of what that said about my mental and physical shape at the time. And I swore I would never go back. I think I made it through like 8 minutes of the warm-up, but I was stuck in a back corner of the room as far away as you could get from the door. And I was trying to hide from everybody because I didn't want anybody to see me, which backfired because we were packed in there so tight and it was so hot. There was a tile floor and immediately everybody started sweating on this tile floor. And I was so hot and dizzy and disoriented. I was like, if I get up, I'm going to pass out and fall over. And I'm not gonna knock over the whole back row like dominoes. They're never gonna let me back in here. I'll probably die of shame. So I chose to die in the back corner instead with what little dignity I had left and just heavy panted for like the next 50 minutes until, they finally said class was over and, let me out. I swore I'd never go back and was making my way to the car and I felt what I imagine heroin feels like. There was such a huge endorphin kick, probably from not exercising for so long. It was just kind of stored back up in there, and about took my knees out from under me.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, oh, well, that's the payoff. I will be back here tomorrow. We're gonna make it through it. Between yoga and my previous experiences with psychedelics when I was younger, I don't think that I would be here if I didn't have those two tools. Addiction and anxiety and depression run pretty heavily in my family, and mental health is really important to me.
Yeah.
As somebody who's been teaching yoga and that sort of thing for the past coming up on 9 years, I want to say. So if you guys are listening, please, and you made it this far, check on yourself and make sure that you're good. And if you have the bandwidth, please check on your friends and your family. A lot of people might seem good, but they're not. The Semicolon Project, I've got, here. There you go. If you've never heard of it, a semicolon is used in the English language to denote a space where you could have ended a sentence, but you chose not to. So it's like a suicide prevention kind of initiative. Unfortunately, at the early part of this year, we were wrapping up a kitten yoga class, and our studio is part of a larger complex with some different shops and stuff in it, attached to a hotel, and there was a dental conference, and a middle-aged dentist was having dinner with someone, and he decided halfway through dinner that he didn't want to have dinner anymore. And he walked over to the edge, jumped off, and he landed about 20 feet from me.
That's really interesting. Did you know that dentists actually have one of the highest suicide rates out of any profession?
Yeah, and veterinarians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough
I didn't
work.
at the time, but I found out later after doing some research.
Yeah. I just want to take a moment to interject right here, as I'm currently in the process of editing this video. That way I can get it posted. And I really wish I would have taken a moment to hold space better for Chris when he shared such vulnerable, traumatic information with me. I wish I would have paused for just a moment to apologize to him for having to have gone through such a traumatic experience, and to hold space for him for how, hard that must have been to go through, and how it may have affected him and may even still be affecting him. I was just kind of caught off guard with the information, the fact that it was a dentist, because I had read that statistic before. You also don't really ever know how you're going to respond to someone sharing experiences like that with you. I am only human too. I am used to having a lot of these really heavy conversations with other people, but factoring in a camera does also kind of affect the way that I communicate with people, because it adds this new layer of anxiety for me. I have also personally had suicide touch my own life. One of my childhood best friends is a suicide victim, Max Walker. And then I've also had my own personal experiences with attempting to end my life, and several of those were nearly successful. And it's a miracle that I'm still here right now. So I was just kind of caught off guard. But as I am watching this, I'm realizing I didn't properly hold space for him. And I just wanted to pause for a moment and take the time to do that right now. And I just want to say, Chris, I am so sorry that you had to go through something like that you had to witness that another person's pain got passed on to you. And I can't imagine how difficult it was to witness that and to carry that with you as you go about every single day. And I just want to take the time to tell you that you are an incredible human being with an absolutely beautiful soul. And I think it is so courageous, brave, and inspiring that you are taking this very painful experience and memory and using it to send out a message of hope, love, positivity, and encouragement to anyone out there that may be struggling with their mental health. I'm very grateful that you felt comfortable enough to share and that you were willing to be so vulnerable with me and with the camera. And I am truly sorry that I was not fully present in that moment after hearing that information to be able to acknowledge how that may have impacted you. With that being said, let's get back to it.
So, yeah, please check on yourself. And if you can, someone else. We're all in this together. And you're loved, you're important. I love you, even if I've never met you.
Your story matters.
It does. And you have people that care about you. Even if you think that you don't, I promise you someone does. Even if it's just me. So.
I love that. Thank you for that message.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
That's what this is all about, giving people a voice and trying to show people that we're not alone in our experiences.
Absolutely.
And that there's hope. You know, things could change in an instant, and don't give up before the miracles take place.
Yeah. We love you.
All right, we'll close it out there. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, night, week, month, year, and rest of your life. Stay curious. I love you so much. I'm grateful you're here.
God
Bye.
bless.